While patrolling a remote road late at night, I spotted movement near a ditch. It was a woman, barefoot, in a bathrobe, and clearly terrified. I approached carefully, but she backed away, crying, "Please don't hurt me!" Then came the shocker. My husband and his mom did this. What she revealed next made my blood run cold and forced me to call for immediate backup. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. I approached her slowly, trying to seem as non-threatening as possible. "Hey, it's okay," I said. "I'm here to help. Let's get you some help, all right?" She nodded, though her eyes still held fear. I radioed for medical assistance, keeping my voice steady as I explained the situation. In the silence of the night, my words felt loud. She looked at me, a glimmer of hope crossing her eyes. I opened the door to the patrol car, motioning for her to sit. "Let's get you warm," I suggested. She hesitated but eventually settled into the passenger seat. Her hands were trembling, but she tried to relax. Soon, the ambulance pulled up. The paramedics were quick, their practiced hands checking her vitals. I briefed them on the little I knew, feeling the weight of the situation. Susan, as she introduced herself, seemed relieved by their presence. I assured her, "You're in good hands now, Susan." She managed a small smile, her courage shining through. We started the drive to the nearest hospital, the road stretching out ahead. Who could do this to her? As the hospital came into view, I knew we were just beginning to scratch the surface. What was the truth behind her words? There was no turning back now. At the hospital, I stood outside a room, listening to the doctors as they quietly conferred. Their tones were low, respectful, and filled with professional concern. Each word seemed to underline the severity of her situation. Though I couldn't catch everything, their seriousness made it clear that Susan needed help beyond what I could provide. I glanced at her through the glass, resolved to see this through for her sake. When they gently probed for more information, Susan shook her head, tears spilling over. "I can't," she whispered, the words barely audible. It was like she was locked in a battle, her past and present colliding. The medical staff were kind, patient, offering tissues and soft words. They exchanged looks but didn't press her any further. Sometimes all someone needs is space to breathe and think, and that's what they gave her. The nurse tucked the blanket around Susan, speaking softly. "You're safe here. Rest, okay?" she assured, her voice soothing. Susan nodded, a hint of relief easing the tension from her features. The hospital was bustling but held a sense of peace. Night had fallen completely by now, the world outside nothing more than a silent backdrop. Inside, Susan had found at least a temporary refuge from the storm. Outside, I got on the phone with the station, reporting what had unfolded. "We've got a situation here, but I'm still gathering details," I explained, keeping my tone steady. I held back the specifics of Susan's condition for now, knowing there would be time for that later. I focused on getting the basics across, ensuring they knew the urgency. This was one case I wouldn't let slip through the cracks. Back at the station, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. I needed to find out who knew Susan personally. Maybe someone out there had the missing pieces to this troubling puzzle. I began thinking of places she might have frequented, hoping someone would recognize her name or face. There had to be more to this story, and I was determined to dig it out one way or another. The next day, I drove to a local diner, a place Susan had mentioned where her friends often gathered. Walking in felt like stepping back in time, with its checkered floor and jukebox against the wall. I ordered a coffee and scanned the room, feeling the curious eyes following my every move. This place might hold the answers I was looking for, or, at the very least, lead me closer. I approached a group at the corner table, their laughter cutting off as I introduced myself. "I'm looking for someone, Susan," I said. "Do any of you know her?" They exchanged glances, whispers rippling through the group. I hoped one of them would step up with a clue or some insight. This was one of those moments where every word could matter immensely, and I needed them to trust me. One of the regulars, Jake, spoke up. "Yeah, I saw her a few days ago with her husband and his mom." His tone was casual, but there was something uneasy in his eyes. I leaned in, eager for more details. "Susan didn't look happy," Jake added. "Her husband seemed controlling?" He kept interrupting her. The group nodded, and the weight of their shared observations made me more determined to meet her husband. What was really happening behind closed doors? As I was about to leave, Linda, a quiet voice in the diner, suggested I speak to Mr. Thompson at the grocery store. He knows the family pretty well. I thanked her, appreciating the unexpected lead. "At the grocery store, Mr. Thompson seemed nervous, adjusting his cap frequently as he spoke. "I haven't seen Susan lately, but her husband, Frank." "Yeah." He trailed off, leaving something unsaid. After a bit more coaxing, Mr. Thompson revealed, Frank's been acting weird. I saw him alone, which is unusual. This felt off. Frank's behavior required closer inspection. It might be the key to understanding what was going on. Before I wrapped up, Mr. Thompson mentioned Frank's mother, Mrs. Jenkins. She walks around with a smug look, he said. She's tricky. This only added to the growing sense that this family had deep secrets, and Susan was somehow caught in the middle. As I drove away, something gnawed at me. Frank and his mother seemed to be hiding something. Back at the station, I dug into Frank's background. His record was clean, but his odd behavior didn't sit right. I called in a favor from the detective unit. "Can you dig into their financials?" I asked. Maybe financial stress was behind the strange behavior and Susan's disappearance. Later, I sat with Susan, who seemed calmer but still carrying a quiet resolve. She shared memories of her childhood, tinged with sadness. Her past seemed to echo into her present, hinting at deeper struggles. "I loved Frank once," Susan confessed, "but it feels like we're spiraling into something unnatural." The more she shared, the more it became apparent that something was deeply wrong in their relationship. Then the phone rang. Linda's voice was urgent. "I found something online," she said, excitement in her voice. She discovered cryptic social media posts from Susan, with one reading, "Feeling trapped, isolated." The comments hinted at hidden struggles, and I knew I had to investigate further. The posts were recent, filled with cryptic messages that painted a picture of someone crying out for help. I sat down with Detective Harris to share what I had discovered. "Here's what I found about Susan," I said, laying out everything. He took notes, his serious expression reflecting the gravity of the situation. Harris agreed we needed to talk to Frank and his mother, Mrs. Jenkins. We approached it casually, planning a welfare check. Our goal was to keep things low-key, so Frank and his mom wouldn't feel cornered. The house was quaint and perfect, with a picture of normalcy that felt out of place. Frank and Mrs. Jenkins greeted us warmly, but something about their excessive politeness felt off. Frank's overly friendly demeanor made me uneasy. Every smile seemed forced, every laugh too rehearsed. Then Mrs. Jenkins excused herself mid-conversation, leaving Frank awkwardly to explain. "She's just grabbing something from the kitchen," he said, but his demeanor was faltering. It felt like a subtle crack in the family's carefully constructed image. When Mrs. Jenkins returned, she wouldn't make eye contact with us. Her eyes were fixed anywhere but on us, betraying discomfort and possibly guilt. We pushed gently into the topic of finances, but Frank immediately denied any issues. "No issues here, officer. We're doing all right," he insisted. But I wasn't convinced. Harris mentioned the community's concerns, trying to gauge Frank's reaction. Frank stiffened, an awkward laugh escaping him. His earlier friendly facade crumbled, revealing the first sign of vulnerability. We had struck a nerve. Before we left, Frank dismissed Susan's situation. "Susan always loved creating drama," he said flippantly, dismissing her distress. His indifference was chilling, making my suspicions grow. How could he be so callous? Back at the station, Susan's confession was heartbreaking. "My husband and his mom," she began, her voice trembling. "They drugged me, left me by the road." Her words hit me hard. "Why would they do that to you?" I asked gently. "I don't know," she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. "It's like they want to break me." With Susan's revelation in hand, I wasted no time. Filing charges was the first step. "We need to look into Frank and his mom's involvement," I told my colleagues. They agreed, and with Susan's fate on the line, we set out to follow every lead. Detective Harris suggested we check the family home for evidence of drug use. Frank and Mrs. Jenkins quickly launched into a chorus of denials, claiming concern for Susan's safety. I reached out to our forensic team. "Let's take another look," I suggested. They examined the evidence carefully, and with each finding, we got closer to uncovering the truth. The stakes were high, and if Susan's story held up, we'd soon have the proof. Not long after, we got the lab results back. They confirmed Susan's account of being drugged. It was a rush of excitement, a validation of everything we had suspected. "This lines up," I told the team, a massive step forward in proving her story. With the evidence in hand, it was time to dig deeper and bring justice to Susan. When faced with the evidence, Frank finally cracked. All right, he blurted out, looking nothing like the man I had first met. Mrs. Jenkins was different, tight-lipped, cold. But under pressure, even she began to crack. "I just followed Frank's lead," she mumbled, her facade crumbling bit by bit. With both of them under scrutiny, charges were swiftly brought. Frank and Mrs. Jenkins were taken into custody while awaiting trial. News of the charges spread quickly through the neighborhood, shocking everyone. People grappled with the revelations that had been hidden in plain sight. How had this gone unnoticed for so long? The community, once tightly knit, was rocked by the truth. Amidst the chaos, Susan began to find solace. "I finally feel seen," she confided, a sense of relief in her voice. This exposure, though painful, had earned her the warmth and support she deserved. As the days passed, Susan stood taller. "This ordeal taught me I'm stronger than I thought," she said. With each step forward, she reclaimed her life. Watching her rise was a testament to resilience. Susan's bravery inspired others to speak out. "She made us believe we could speak out," one neighbor shared, eyes filled with newfound hope. Her story, once silenced, had become a beacon of courage, encouraging others to share their truths. It was an extraordinary privilege to witness Susan's transformation. "Thank you for everything," she told me as our journey neared its end. This wasn't just about solving a case, it was about witnessing resilience, hope, and justice. The case closed with convictions, but it was Susan's strength that remained the true victory. Her bravery showed everyone involved what true courage looked like, and, as her story continued, it was clear that this was just the beginning.